Welcome back to the Wise Works podcast. If you're new to the channel, we do podcasts talking about filmmaking, talking about entrepreneurship, talking about philosophy ideas inside of filmmaking. We talk about personal stories. We just want to have a good time hanging out with you guys and maybe even share some ideas with you that we have learned in our very limited years of work in the video film world. In indie film world. Indie creators. We have 2 podcasts that come out on this channel every week, Tuesday and Friday. And then we have an exclusive audio only long form podcast that comes out on Spotify. And you just have to search Wiseworks Podcast and you will see it. That comes out on Friday nights at 10 p.m. You can watch at any point during the weekend, but it's meant to kick off the weekend and it's meant for the nighttime. So, you can watch it late Friday night when you got nothing to do on Saturday morning. How you doing?
I'm good.
Doing good?
I'm good.
Doing good?
Yeah. So, we are going to talk about burnout.
Burnout.
Like burning out in a car.
Well, the way you presented that sounded like the way a lot of YouTubers presented that, like 2 years ago. They're like, we're going to talk about YouTube burnout.
Well, no.
All sad face.
Maybe not burnout from a YouTube circumstance, but just burnout in general. I mean, doing a lot of different things. Feeling like you're too busy. You
know, a comedian that I probably, as I get older, I'm going to adopt naturally his attitude and behaviors is Bill Burr. You know who he is?
Yeah.
He's the ginger guy. He's bald. He's been around forever. He's got a little bit of a temper on him, but he's very much about like, just do the work, be a man, just get it done. Don't be a wimp. You know what I mean?
You have to, I know what you're saying. But maybe not talk about just burnout in general. Everybody has a thing that they do to turn off their mind.
Yeah.
I know for me, I like to... My mind, I get going with work. I keep doing stuff. Yeah. And it's hard to shut off your mind. So everybody has a thing that they do to kind of shut off their mind.
We'll get to that. But let's talk a little bit about, what do you think of the whole YouTube burnout? Have you experienced any kind of fatigue? Have you, what kind of things have you experienced in?
Yeah.
I mean, we've been doing videos longer.
Yeah, we do make videos on YouTube, but I don't want to say like YouTube burnout because I feel like we do other things besides just make videos for YouTube. So when I say burnout, I kind of think of more like just, I don't want to compare myself to this person because they do a lot more than me, but someone who's like Elon Musk or like, who's the guy that does Amazon?
Jeff Bezos. They talk about their day being so busy, like they have it scheduled out. They do this. And I know I'm not that busy, so I don't want to really compare myself to that. That's kind of, I just brought it up as like an idea. But I feel like that's the type of burnout that when I think of burnout, not like YouTube burnout. Okay.
You know what I'm talking about?
Just work fatigue.
Yeah.
You know? I definitely experience that often.
Especially doing Wise Works plus going to a full-time job.
Yes, very much so. A lot of times what I've noticed about myself, and this is probably true about a lot of people, and we've talked about this, it's so important with whatever you're doing, whatever your goals are, to punch the clock. You know what I mean? To make sure that each day, or at least as much as you can, regularly spend time working towards the goal or the work that you want to do. Yeah. And so by living by that standard, there have been plenty of days and weeks where I come into filming a video or filming this podcast or something where I'm just like, man, I don't even want to say words. And that's all we're doing on this podcast. We're just saying words. But sometimes it's just important to push through. And what I was saying was, honestly, most of the time at the back end of doing that work, you're going to actually sleep better. You're going to feel like you've accomplished. You haven't flaked out. And ultimately, it provides yourself with a sense of accomplishment, self-pride, and satisfaction that you got the job done, even if you didn't feel like it. Because it's so important to get the job done. You know what I mean?
Yeah. To definitely punch in and then have some time to rest.
Yeah. Well, what do you think about, what are some ideas that go around your head day to day when you think about, like, I have to do this, but I don't feel like it? What are some of the thoughts that motivate you or just remind you that it's important to be patient, it's important to keep going, keep moving forward, not giving up because, you go 2, 3, 4, 5 years without seeing the kind of success you hoped to be at that point?
Yeah, I mean, for me, because this has been in my mind just a lot. With working a full-time job plus doing video stuff, be like, why am I working a full-time job and then coming here not getting paid for this to do video work, basically? I know when I think about it, I kind of think, am I happy coming and doing video work? I mean, yes, I'm tired at this moment, but ultimately I'm happy doing what I'm doing. So even if, like, let's say tomorrow we start making a lot of money from this, it's what everybody says is the process, it's not the destination. You have to fall in love with the process. So yes, I might be tired today, but overall, when I'm not tired, am I going to be content and happy with my life because I'm like doing this now when I'm tired,
Yeah, I hear that. That's something that you do need to ask yourself often. It's, am I happy when I do this? Or where does my happiness come from during the process? You know what I mean? So for me, my greatest joy out of the process of doing video work in general, even this podcast, is when it's done and ready to be given out to the world. Because I'm like, I know I've put a lot of work in, I know I've created something I'm proud of, and so now I get to present it to the world.
Yeah.
Even if it's a very limited amount of world that sees it. It's important to me. It's important. My craft is something that I find fulfillment in. I get excited throughout the whole process, and that pinnacle of excitement and happiness is when it's completed and I have something to my name that's there in front of me, Yeah. Something that Tom Segura said that in one of his comedy specials, which is funny because it's actually a really, really good thought, was that he said that he believes that everyone should pursue their dreams, and it's really important because even if you don't make it to your dream, you will have been fulfilled during the pursuit of your dream. You know what I mean?
Yeah, okay. So let's take a step back a little bit because we're talking about, yes, being happy with the process and being tired, but we're not essentially talking about that. We're talking about working hard and then having a day off, basically, or having some time to rest. Because
so how do you maneuver that? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Because it's a concept that people know but don't understand.
I mean, how I always think about it, work hard, play hard, sleep hard.
Yeah.
I mean, so you have to give your body rest and time to shut off after you did a lot of hard work. So you're talking about, you talk about it a lot on the show, stand up. We've talked about this a little bit off the cameras, but you find stand up, like you just like to put on a stand up show, and that's what helps your mind wind down and get rest.
There's something with me, for some reason right now, my biggest thing is comedy podcasts and stand-up comedy. And usually they're the same people. You know what I mean? So I'll listen to specials and then I'll go listen to their podcast. And I follow a lot of different comedians. And for some reason, I think it's because they're grounded in a world of reality. I think it's... I love going into a fantasy world, but for some reason it is difficult for me lately to constantly enter into like a new movie, so I'm entering a new story and I have to find organic interest in this world, in this story. that's why I've also leaned into shows the past few years, is because now I can have invested interest. I don't feel like I have to put energy forth to care about something, and then I don't have to care about it after like 2 hours. You know
So
what I mean?
you think that's why people are watching more shows than movies?
That's why I watch more shows, and I have a theory that's probably the same reason, especially when
That's
you get into.
I never thought about it like that.
When you
before.
get into an adulthood, and you're working all the time, especially, and I'm not saying from any kind of experience, but especially once you have kids, your life is pulled in so many different directions. I am nervous about that stage of my life. But yeah, shows is a big thing because it allows you to invest yourself in a story, but it doesn't rip it away too fast. It's like, we're here to stay for a while, you know? And you can kind of relax into that. And you get to know the characters.
Yeah.
And there's comfort in that. Especially
that
when you're in a moment where you're trying to relax.
Yeah, I see that. When I watch a movie, I don't feel as relaxed as like, I'm not super into a bunch of shows, but I do like to just sit down and watch some YouTube. Maybe like a couple different YouTubers that I like to watch, that I've seen their content before, and it's like a show.
Yeah.
In a way. That's interesting. That's what I like to do.
I feel like you're just realizing some big ideas.
Well, I'm just saying, like, because I watch a lot of YouTube just to wind down and just to get my mind off things, rather than like a movie's I get into a movie a lot. I do enjoy watching movies, but for a different reason. It's not the same as watching, like, I don't know, one thing that I'm already interested in.
Yeah, well, I know you've talked about, you like shows like New Girl that are lighthearted and funny, kind of.
What?
You're looking at me like, why are you talking about this?
Okay. Yeah.
But I'm just trying to say, because you said you like to watch a lot of YouTube. That's true. I watch a crap ton of YouTube, but predominantly what I watch on YouTube is podcasts that's been released by people I already know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or I have the opportunity to discover someone I end up liking. So that's a big way. I would also say that, yes, each week, because we break things up into weeks, it is really important, and this is even a biblical principle, about resting one day. Resting can be decided person to person, but for some people it could look like, I'm not going to do much. Some people it looks like, I'm not going to do anything. You know, that's something that you have the freedom to decide for yourself. But I think it is good to have one day, and then also choose that when you are working, you're going to work hard, and you're not going to, you know, just do things in a halfway manner.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And at the same time, you also have to have a bit of fun in your life. The fun and the adventure. So something, although I say I watch shows, I watch podcasts and YouTube, and I do work a lot of the time, either at work, my day job, or doing stuff for WiseWorks. And so a lot of times, I prefer when it happens at least once a week, but sometimes we miss a week. We do something that's a little bit more new, or even something that's not common. So things like going on a hike, going to a concert, going on a day trip out of town. Those are things that aren't very expensive to handle, and things that add a lot of value to your everyday life. You don't have to look forward to your one vacation a year. You just make a bunch of little cool adventures throughout your year on weekends or wherever days you have off. Those are things I look forward to, not only the day of resting and not doing much, but also the days of adventure that have been planned around my life of work. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I would definitely say, yeah. For me, I like to rest and watch YouTube, like I was saying, or watch something. But I do also like to work out and do that. I know it's not resting, but it's, for me, it gives me a little bit of relaxation in doing that.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like going on a hike, going and working out, or just exercising my body.
It centers you and allows you to think, okay, my world's not just working all the time.
Yeah.
My world is taking care of myself, hobby of building muscles, becoming stronger, things of that nature.
Yeah.
I get
so
you.
I definitely use that as a way to kind of relax too, in a way.
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm not resting, but I'm relaxing away.
Yeah. That's good. What time are we at?
We're about 15 minutes, 16 minutes.
Something that I would like to dabble in, unless you have more to say on the idea of
No, go
that,
for it.
I would like to take a turn and talk about laziness briefly. Is that cool?
Yeah.
Give me permission. Is that something you're interested in talking about?
Yeah, because I thought about this too, because there's a difference between resting your body and being lazy with your body. You have to rest when you work and put in a hard day of work, but there's also just not doing anything, being lazy.
And not just your body, also your mind.
Yeah.
Because some people, like even what we do, although it's physical activity, filming something, you can spend hours in front of a computer and that's still work because it's hard on your mind.
Yeah.
You're looking at a screen, you're making decisions constantly. But it's not physically exhausting, it's just mentally draining.
Yeah.
And so the thing with laziness, and this is something I'm understanding more and more and more.
Yeah, you are pretty lazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
You are understanding
honestly,
it.
that's not where I was going, but there's a lot of truth in that.
Mm-hmm.
When you choose to work harder, you start to see areas of your life where you're extremely lazy, and a bit of a wimp that you don't even realize is there. Everybody, we look at people like you mentioned, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, people that work 16 hours a day, and for some reason they can just do it, and their life moves forward in a productive
It's all the drugs
way.
they take.
They might be on speed. Who knows? I don't know about Jeff.
Yeah.
Richest guy on earth, just going ah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
I don't know, man. Elon Musk is definitely not on speed. He's like on a relax or something.
yeah, he's on weed, dog.
Yeah.
He does it secretly, not just on Joe Rogan's podcast. But I think we look at people like them and they seem to have perfected this whole idea of working hard and being efficient at life. But, and I would say that kind of lifestyle is not for everyone. You can't, a lot of people, and I get so frustrated with this, and I know I'm speaking from a place of ignorance because I'm not at these levels of these people who are super successful. People like Kevin Hart, but we're always getting words from these people saying like, you have to be up at 4 a.m. and then you have to be working and everything has to be perfectly formatted. And I know for sure that I don't think my life will ever be perfectly formatted because life's too unpredictable. And you can try to format your life. You can try to have a good eating, healthy routine. You can have a good exercise routine. But when it comes to just life, some people are not wired that way. Some people have to put in like a minimum. Like I heard this, I think it was the joke on Jordan Peterson on Joe Rogan's podcast. He talked about how, why is it that we work 8 hours and not 9 hours a day predominantly? Not that some people don't work 9, but why is it that
I know why.
Because we tried to do 9 hours and people were dying. You know what I mean? It was a joke, but there's truth to that.
Yeah.
Some people can't. It's just like it might not be feasible for everyone to have this super long work day, but that doesn't mean that you should be lazy. For me and you, we've kind of decided that we're investing as much time as we can into WiseWorks and creating material and making good, future business plans, setting a company that doesn't have revenue in it yet up to be a successful standing company when it does start receiving money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or when we get to the point that we believe it's ready to start receiving money. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
hope the audience, that makes sense to them.
It doesn't make sense to me, so I hope the audience gets it.
I'm just saying there's standards to what we do.
Yeah.
And so we're not just kind of going to try to nickel and dime out of every little thing we do. We're trying to build to something. We're not trying to just make quick cash. And so because of that, you have to value your time and you have to spend it doing what you believe is important. Although we talked about winding down and the ways we turn off our brain are important, that cannot be your go-to thing as soon as you get home. Not every day. There's plenty of people I've talked to that are in their like 40s and they're just like slightly depressed, and they're just like, yeah, I come and work at this job that I've been at for 30 years and I don't really like it, but it's a job. And my wife works. We're in a small house. We barely make any money. I come home and I watch TV until I go to bed. That's not a good life.
Where are we getting with this? Because I feel like you're rambling a little bit.
I'm just talking about laziness, and
Yeah.
I'm trying to move it towards the idea of there is a balance
Yeah.
of not working too hard and also predominantly people not working hard enough to reach their goals. We're not any kind of influencer, but we are saying it's super important to go after your goals, because if you don't, you will have regrets. Because if you just ask yourself, if I don't do this, will I regret it? Your brain will answer it for you. It'll say yes or it'll say no. If it says yes, then why aren't you moving towards that? And so you have to balance, and you're only going to figure out how to balance unless you're doing stuff.
So what you're getting at is it's good to find balance in your life between work, between not being lazy, between getting the rest you need, finding that day to shut off your mind, to do the things you love, to do those mindless things that just help you relax and turn off your mind and get rest.
There is a balance.
Yes. So find your balance.
Find your balance and work hard.
Yeah.
So when
But
you
find
do
your
rest, it's worth resting for.
Yes. So I guess let's end it there.
All right. And this
Find
helped.
your balance. That's what I'm leaving with you. Maybe I don't know how to help you find your balance, but find it for yourself. Between work, between play, between rest, between eating.
Maybe just
between
start thinking about
it. Or, I mean, it's good to have a good chocolate sundae once in a while.
Maybe just think about it. If you haven't given these thoughts thought, think about it. How am I balancing my life? How am I working hard, either too much or not enough?
Yes.
Find that balance and live in it comfortably and happily.
And
plug everything.
We have a show on Spotify, the Midnight Special, the Nightly Special, as some people like to call it.
No.
And
as Wyatt likes to call it, Full Throttle.
Full Throttle
with Wyatt.
And this show every Tuesday and Friday. So go listen to us, watch us, and we're here to make nerds out of you.
Subscribe to the channel. Follow us on Spotify.